Joseph Cirincione is a former nuclear affairs advisor to U.S. President Barack Obama, and he joins me now from our Washington bureau. So restarting Yongbyon, Joseph, what does that mean in practical terms? I mean, how far would they be from actually developing nuclear weapons technology there?
Well, the good news is that they're quite far away from restarting this facility. This was already in an advanced state of disrepair when they blew up the cooling tower that you saw back in 2007. Starting this facility up would take them many months, perhaps several years. Even when it gets reactivated, and we'll see it in operation, they could produce at most a bomb's worth of plutonium a year. It is a problem, it is a threat, but it is no reason for panic.
So, okay, not panic. This isn't going to happen tomorrow. What about what we know North Korea has right now?
Right now, they produced about 6 to 8 bombs worth of plutonium from that facility. They also have a uranium enrichment facility. We know much less about that, but they have several thousand centrifuges. We don't know for sure whether they produced bomb material from that uranium source, but I expect we'll find out soon.
How much have they weaponized the nuclear products and the plutonium so far, do we know?
It's unknown. They've had 3 tests where they've used up some of that plutonium, dropping the supply that they have. We suspect they probably have 2 or 3 more devices ready to test. It's not at all clear that they've been able to, through the tests, certify that they have a weapon small enough and sturdy enough to go on a missile. They certainly have a design for a missile warhead. Whether they've actually been able to fashion one, it's just unknown.
Within what geographic range can they strike with nuclear weapons at this stage? Do we know that?
So the good news is they don't have a long-range missile that can strike at the mainland United States or strike at Europe. They do have short-range missiles that can go, 600 to 2,000 kilometers, and those could strike targets in South Korea and Japan.
With nuclear warheads?
They have the range to carry a nuclear warhead that far. Whether they actually have been able to fit a nuclear warhead is unknown.
So we don't
right
know.
Now,
right. I was going to say we don't know that important part. I mean, that's really the most important question is we know they have the rockets, we know they have the plutonium and potentially weaponizable plutonium, but we don't know whether or not they can strike with a rocket and a nuclear warhead.
Exactly. So the nuclear threats are serious, the nuclear capabilities much less so. Right now, I would say, but as many experts do, that the main danger is that these threats get out of control, that they escalate into a shooting exchange, and we could have a conventional war start on the Korean Peninsula. That could cause tens of thousands of casualties in just the first few hours.
Right. I was going to say conventional wars, it doesn't mean they're not deadly. They can be extremely deadly, as we're seeing in many parts of the world. And
that's exactly.
Yeah, I was going to say, last question, how much can we really tell? Because you're telling me in terms of rockets that can be fitted with nuclear warheads, we don't know what the capability of North Korea is. But how much can we tell without having actually inspectors on the ground, just from satellite imagery?
Well, you can watch missile movements. If it's a long-range rocket, this takes days to set up. These are liquid-fueled, so we are quite aware when they're going to test one. We don't see any motion in that regard. We do not see movement, any significant movement of their conventional forces, naval forces, or their missile forces. So the threats are escalating, but they aren't being matched by military maneuvers. That's one reason you see a relatively calm response from South Korea and the United States.
Thank you, Joseph Cirincione. As always, pleasure having your take on this important developing story from the Korean Peninsula.